Describe Washington right now through 6 games. We don't have a small sample size anymore, but we don't have a large sample size, but we're approaching the midpoint of the season. We are 2.5 games away from the midpoint of the season, 6 games into it. A lot of teams have played just 5. Washington's record is 3-3. That is second in the NFC East, 1 game behind Philadelphia. If you're wondering if the playoffs started today, Washington would not qualify. Their situation right now is that 2 of their 3 wins have come against AFC teams, the Raiders and the Chargers. It's much better when you have 3 losses if all 3 of them came against AFC teams and you were undefeated against NFC teams. They've only won 1 game against the NFC, and that was the opener against the Giants. But it is a very bunched up NFC. Essentially, you go from currently the top 7 teams, which includes the Rams at number 7, to then Atlanta, Minnesota, Chicago, Carolina, all ahead of Washington, based on record and, potential tiebreaker. Long way to go before we have tiebreaker conversations. But what is Washington through 6 games? I want something, as concise as possible. I don't want, a long-winded answer. Somebody comes up to you and says, I haven't seen him yet. Tell me about your team. What is your answer? My answer is, in one sentence, Washington is a playoff contending team in the NFC with a roster that is barely average, but has a way above average quarterback. We understand the significance of quarterback, and so as long as he plays, they will be in every game and have a chance to win enough games to qualify for the playoffs. Biggest concern, that the defense is a major liability. That's my description. What's yours at 301-230-0980? Max, do you have one for me?
Yeah, I've got one. I'll break it down in terms of just teams. Offense, real short, real sweet. They're fine. They go as the quarterback goes. Protection could be better, but that's just kind of how the NFL goes. Offense, fine. Defense, they need lots of improvement almost at every level. Linnell kind of called them Jekyll and Hyde, which I really don't hate as a descriptor. But if you're struggling at almost every level, it doesn't really scream a player issue to me. Something needs to change, and I think DQ might need to get a little bit more hands-on as things go. And with that hands-on approach, then you got to produce more turnovers. So that's my defensive description. Then special teams, immaculate. I will protect Larry Izzo with my life. So that's kind of where we fall in terms of my short descriptors.
All right, 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. I would tell you, if you hadn't seen any of the games, this is a playoff contending team in the NFC, but that basically the team overall is average, barely average, but they've got a way above average quarterback. He gives them the chance to win more games than they lose. The defense, by far and away, is the team's biggest weakness, flaw, liability. 301-230-0980. Let's start with our guy Lou in DC. Lou, go ahead.
What's up, Kevin?
Lou, what's happening?
I gotta disagree, man. I can't say they are a playoff team because the simple fact that I thought that the defense was going to be the I guess our strength to kind of to keep us in the game, but the way they've been playing, I mean, when they play a weak team, the defense get a couple sacks here and there, but when they play a decent team, I mean, even Chicago, they're not that strong. I mean, we could have done a lot of things with them, but it seemed like play calling, Joe Witt and Darren Quinn, when they was a coach with were a coach with Dallas, I mean, they blitz. I mean, they used to blitz us and get all these turnovers and things like that. I don't see any of that over here. I don't see that aggression. And it seems like we just one-dimensional. They depend on Jaden way too many often. And teams are finding out, they just, I don't know, they just not, I can't say they're a playoff team, man. They just, the defense is just not our strength anymore. And it seemed like, especially coming like the.
Well, defense hasn't been the strength at any point, over the last year in 6 games now.
No, with the addition that the guys, I know a couple of guys they hurt, but with the addition that we had, Wise and the other two.
Yeah, Wise is a good point. Bringing up Wise, his loss significant. They wanted to be better on the edge, and we saw Monday night against a team that attacked them on the edge. They don't have anybody that can set an edge because DeAndre Swift is not an upper tier back. He's good. But he shouldn't go for 7.7 yards per carry, period.
Yeah. I think, I appreciate you, Kevin.
Yep. Lou says not a playoff team. Let me just be clear. What I said was Washington is a playoff contending team in the NFC with a roster that is barely average, but it has a way above average quarterback. Let's go to our guy Billy in Chantilly. We missed him yesterday. Billy, can you answer the question? Describe the team after 6 games.
The team, Kevin, good morning. The team is reflective of a general manager who is good at his job but totally messed up the signing of or re-signing or whatever you want to call it of their number one offensive threat in Terry McLaurin. And now we're seeing the results of that bad decision. He just made a bad decision.
He did re-sign him.
And Terry would have been in camp in July instead of September 1 or whatever he got into camp. The offense would have been in step. The offense keeps the defense off the field. You'd probably be 4-2 or 5-1 or 6-0. He screwed up. Adam,
Billy, do you give Terry and his agent any of the blame for that or not?
Terry did not have zero leverage. He had all the leverage. The agent's an idiot. You can't account for idiots when you're a general manager.
He got a crappy deal with all that leverage that you think he had.
He had all the leverage. Terry had all the leverage. We're 3-3. Take a good look at the offense.
Yeah,
that's the leverage. Wins and losses. Kevin,
yeah, well, he didn't turn that. Then they really did a crappy job. I think they had no leverage because he was under contract, and they got a crappy deal with all that leverage. Now that's separate.
We're 3-3.
That's separate from the conversation we're having that you want to have, which is if they had just given him what he wanted, which would have blown out a lot of norms for that particular player, would have been completely undisciplined as an organization, in my opinion, and just given him what he wanted in June, then they would be a better team right now. That's fine if you believe that, and I certainly think that they would be a better team with him versus without him. I don't know how much that injury specifically had to do with him not participating this summer. I can't answer that. I'm not suggesting that it wasn't a role, didn't play a factor in it. I just can't tell you that for sure. And I don't think you can tell me that for sure.
Yeah, well, nobody can. I wish we could, but I know he would have been in camp in July. The part B of the comment is Jaden did get squished up in the fourth quarter of the game. They never showed the replay. Both times he had his knee stuck up underneath him, and every time they went to the replay, they cut it right before Cliff's got to get organized on the offense and get this Jaden out of trouble with all this running nonsense.
Well, they okay.
Jaden was the quarterback of the Bears. The Bears would have won 60-0.
You know what?
Williams can't play.
That's probably true. The one thing though, I know I'm stuck on this, but call me whatever you want to call me. Terry and his agent, maybe it's more so his agent, has a lot of responsibility, in why they did not get this deal done. They were completely delusional as to what his worth was.
Yes.
And with all the leverage you claim he has, I disagree. It's an all-time horrible deal if they actually had the leverage you suggested they had. So,
Adam should have held his nose and got him into camp. He's your number one receiver.
But you can't do that, Billy. You can't do that as a first-time general manager with your first big contract negotiation. Go way outside the norm and overpay by miles a player that's entering his age 30 season. I have no problem with how the organization handled it. as I said right from the beginning, they don't have to give him anything. They didn't have to give him anything, and they did.
6 then we could
He should have signed it sooner. He should have come to the reality that he wasn't worth Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or any of these kind of, receivers that are legitimate superstar receivers. And if he'd come to the reality of that, or if his agent had helped him come to the reality of that, he would have been in camp a lot sooner. Thanks for the call. But that is separate from if he had gotten into camp, would the situation have been different? Maybe. I'm not going to dispute that. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten hurt. Maybe early on there would have been more chemistry. I don't know. Let's go to Brad and Frederick. Brad, to someone who hasn't seen any of these 6 games, now that we've got more than just a small sample size, describe our team.
Kevin, how you been, buddy?
Brad, what's going on, man? Good to hear your voice.
Hey, man. You as well. So, correct me, we scored 26 or what, 28 a game? What are we averaging? Something like that on offense? 26?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I'll look it up.
Ridiculous. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, anyway, so I would describe it. I'll answer your question first. I would describe it as a non-playoff team and still in rebuild.
We're averaging 26.3 points per game. That's 7th in the league in scoring.
Terry is not a problem. The offense isn't a problem. So anyway, I would describe them as a non-playoff team and still rebuilding, as I thought they would be, which I'm not really surprised. A little disappointed, but not surprised. So I want to go back to yesterday. You took a call and you were talking to him about, would you rather have Trey Hendrickson or X wide receiver? And I can't remember wide receiver's name. And the answer is always, we need more offensive power. We need more offensive power. But to your point, Trey Hendrickson is the answer. What this organization didn't do in the offseason is give their franchise quarterback what he really needed to succeed, and that's a defense. And you just said it, a superstar quarterback and elevate talent around him, which he has done. But you can't stop anybody. In the NFL, you're never going to be successful, and they have not done that yet. They're the oldest team, and we're inherited a lot of mess, and they have to rebuild that side of the ball. But it's never going to get better, Kevin.
They tried, though. They recognized, Brad, that they had a problem defensively. They went out and got bigger with Kinlaw. They got an edge guy in Wise, and they lost him. By the way, Goldman didn't play the other night. He's actually played well. It's very possible they missed Eddie Goldman, believe it or not, the other night. They tried. They were interested in Hendrickson, but the price was too high, and ultimately Cincinnati wasn't dealing him. So, and they drafted a corner in the 2nd round that had, kind of a first-round grade. So, you're right. They did not add like a game-wrecking, edge, pass-rushing kind of player that could have elevated this defense. But I don't know that there was one to be had unless you wanted them to draft it.
So I agree. What they did is say, let's get Tunzel, let's get Debo, let's build this offense, let's give them his high power, so we can score 45 a game and we'll outscore our bad defense. They did try to improve, Kevin, but they went to, let's say, Sam's Club. They went to this, we'll go in this route, right? We'll overpay a Kinlaw guy that no one really knows what he is really.
By the way, he's been good.
He's been good, but to your point, they don't have great.
Yeah.
That roster on that side of the ball is not good, and there's not great talent on that, and they're old. So it's just, they are still, and they will get it. I don't have faith. They will do it. I'm not saying they won't. They just haven't done it yet, and there's still a long way to go. And in this league, on the defensive side of the ball, if you can't stop anybody, you can't ask him to be Superman every single game and win these games 35-34. It's not a recipe for success. And you know that. I mean, I'll tell you that. But.
Yeah, the only thing is you and I probably said this to each other all last season, and they just kept overcoming it. But, and I pointed this out, and I think everybody's pointed this out, I'm not the only one, is last year they were overcoming their terrible defense against Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, Tommy DeVito, Cooper Rush, Andy Dalton. The list goes on and on, right, in terms of who they
faced. We're not schedule people, right? We're not schedule people.
I know, but
I'm not going to look at a schedule. But you have to account for what your schedule is and the talent you were going to face. They did not account for that defensively to play the talent that they're playing to win these games like last year. You're not going to win on Hail Marys and block and this and that and these ways that they were winning and playing your point, Rattlers, DeVitos. You have to account for that and know you're playing this elevated talent. This is the NFL. And they just didn't.
I mean, and they got lucky, right, a couple of times. They played a banged-up Giants 100%. Team that still had Russell Wilson in there. 100%. They played a banged-up Chargers team that actually had talent, at skill positions, but was a mess on their offensive line. I'm sorry?
Right. And they squeaked in.
Yeah.
And they squeaked into the playoffs, right? They got in off of that. Well, that's not – you have to account for that not happening and playing better talent. They just don't have it. And they'll get it. They just don't have it.
All right. Thanks. Good to hear your voice.